The world saw them as the golden family of gospel, a beacon of love.
For years, the world saw them as the golden family of gospel, a beacon of love, laughter, and unwavering faith. David Mann was the joyful husband, the loyal partner, the man who stood beside Tamala through every mountain and valley. Together, they were the image of Black excellence in ministry and music. But behind the closed doors of hospital rooms and hushed family meetings, another story was unfolding. One soaked in betrayal, silence, and unbearable heartbreak. Now, with Tamala Mann clinging to life on life support, her daughter Tiffany has stepped into the spotlight not to sing, but to scream the truth. In a raw, tear-filled interview, Tiffany Mann breaks down in front of the camera, her voice shaking with pain and rage. While my mother was fighting for her life, she says my father was signing contracts and chasing stages. He wasn't holding her hand. He was protecting his brand. The allegations are shocking. According to Tiffany, David not only kept Tamala's condition a secret from their closest family, but used the silence to keep his public image intact while the woman who built that image with him lay fading away. What happens when the mask of ministry slips off and the real man behind the pulpit is revealed? This isn't just a daughter's outcry, it's a reckoning. And the gospel world may never look at the Mann family the same way again. For decades, the Mann family symbolized something pure, a gospel empire rooted in love, prayer, and purpose. David and Tamala Mann were more than just artists. They were the face of marital loyalty, spiritual grace, and Black excellence. Fans prayed with them, laughed with them, cried with them. But now, as Tamala Mann lies unconscious in a hospital bed clinging to life, a tidal wave of grief and betrayal has broken open, and it's her own daughter Tiffany Mann standing at the epicenter. It started with whispers. Tamala hadn't been seen in public in over 2 weeks. Her Instagram had gone silent. Scheduled performances were abruptly cancelled with vague statements about rest and recovery, but no one outside the family really knew what was going on until Tiffany stepped forward, her voice trembling, her eyes swollen from tears, and said 7 words that shook the gospel world. "My mama is dying and he knew, is." Tiffany didn't speak like someone chasing clout. She spoke like a daughter drowning in grief, clutching at truth for survival. Her interview, raw, unfiltered, and streamed live on a private YouTube channel, exploded within hours. And the words she said next peeled the image of David Mann apart like old paint. When Mama collapsed, Daddy didn't ride in the ambulance. He stayed behind to call his manager. He said, "We had a show coming up in Atlanta, and we couldn't lose momentum." The room fell silent. Tiffany's hand shook as she held up a crumpled doctor's report, dated just days earlier, outlining Tamala's deteriorating liver condition, the urgent need for round-the-clock monitoring, and the high risk of systemic failure if not immediately hospitalized. Tiffany claimed that David had seen that report. He had read every word, but instead of canceling his bookings, he told the doctors to keep it quiet. He didn't want fans to panic. He said, and I quote, "We don't want this messing with the brand." The brand. That word, once a symbol of family unity, is now being weaponized in Tiffany's plea. She claims David was so obsessed with keeping up appearances that he suppressed Tamala's medical truth, even from her closest friends and spiritual sisters. No prayer circles were formed, no community was alerted, no family interventions took place. She was fighting for her life, Tiffany cried, and he was fighting to protect a fantasy. Tiffany's accusations come with heavy emotional weight, not just because of the family ties, but because of what Tamala represents to millions. This is the woman who gave us Take Me to the King, who turned worship into healing for an entire generation. She's been the spiritual mother of the gospel world. And now, as her real daughter reveals, she may have been spiritually abandoned by the very man she stood beside for 35 years. The backlash was immediate. Fans who once quoted David's comedy routines and praised his marriage posts now flooded comment sections with disbelief and grief. Hashtags like Chuck Protect Tamala and Chuck Stand with Tiffany began trending within hours. Old interviews were dug up, and in one clip from a 2023 stage show, David can be heard making an offhand joke about Tamala needing to slow down before she burns out. What once sounded like a harmless quip now feels like a warning we all missed. But Tiffany didn't stop there. In the most gut-wrenching portion of the interview, she held up her phone and played a voice note, a recording allegedly from Tamala herself, weak, breathless, and sobbing. "I'm tired, baby. Daddy don't listen no more. They all keep saying smile for the fans, but it hurts. It hurts to pretend." That audio shook the internet. Tiffany said she'd saved that message weeks ago, unsure whether to release it. The backlash came fast and it came hard. Just hours after Tiffany Mann's heartbreaking video spread across the internet, social media exploded. Hashtags like "Eyeing Justice for Tamila" and "Halim David Mann Exposed" started trending across every platform. Fans who once celebrated the Mann family as gospel royalty were now torn between disbelief and outrage. Tamila Mann, the voice that had comforted millions with hymns of healing and hope, was now unconscious, fighting for her life. And her daughter was accusing her own father of treating her like a publicity pawn. Tiffany's words kept replaying across timelines and TV screens. "He didn't cry when she collapsed. He didn't call me. He called his manager." The footage of her emotional breakdown became a rallying cry. It wasn't just her pain people were responding to. It was the truth in her voice, the fear in her eyes, the heartbreak of a daughter watching the strongest woman she knew fade before her eyes, while the man who vowed to protect her seemed more worried about ticket sales and brand optics. Inside the hospital, the atmosphere had changed. What was once a quiet clinical setting now felt like a spiritual battlefield. The halls smelled of anointing oil. Scriptures were taped to the walls. Family members took shifts to read psalms beside Tamila's hospital bed. Nurses said they'd never seen anything like it, a room so heavy with both sorrow and sacredness. And David, he remained largely silent. He had issued no formal statement, only reposted a Bible verse to his Instagram story. God is not the author of confusion. But to many, that felt hollow, almost like a deflection. Fans weren't confused, they were heartbroken, and now they were demanding answers. Meanwhile, Tiffany's video was gaining traction beyond just gospel circles. News outlets picked it up. Mental health advocates started weighing in. A prominent pastor tweeted, "We've turned our women into ministry machines and called it faith. But who's protecting their hearts?" It sparked a bigger conversation, one about exploitation behind the pulpit, about the silent suffering of gospel women whose lives had become brands, whose exhaustion had become content, and whose health crises had become marketing problems. Tiffany revealed that this wasn't the first time her mother had collapsed. According to her, Tamila had shown signs of extreme fatigue for over a year. There were nights she couldn't even walk up the stairs without gasping. And he still told her, "Baby, we've got appearances next week." That wasn't love. That was pressure. She also claimed that Tamila had expressed a desire to take a break, a full year off to rest, heal, and focus on her health. But David allegedly wouldn't allow it. He told her she was the glue, that without her voice, the ministry wouldn't survive. And Mama believed him because she always put everyone else before herself. Tiffany's voice broke as she recalled how her mother once recorded a worship album with a fever of 102. Barely able to stand, she pushed through because she thought pushing through was holy. She didn't know she was killing herself slowly. The weight of those words sat heavy in the hearts of millions. Churches began to hold emergency prayer vigils. Entire congregations knelt in silence, crying out for a woman who had led them in worship for decades. Her music echoed in sanctuaries across the country. Fans posted videos lighting candles, holding photos, and playing "Take Me to the King" with tears running down their cheeks. But back inside the hospital, Tiffany was still the only one speaking out. Tiffany revealed that when the doctors told them Tamila's condition had worsened, her organs now showing signs of stress, her brain activity weakening, David finally broke down. He fell to the floor. "I thought it was grief, but now I wonder, was it guilt?" The question lingered, a haunting question no daughter should ever have to ask about her own father. Sources close to the family began coming forward. A former assistant confirmed that David had once told her, "If Tamila slows down, now we lose everything." Another family member leaked a schedule showing how even just days before Tamila collapsed, David was still booking podcast interviews, comedy appearances, and press tours, all under the guise that Tamila was just resting. But she wasn't resting. She was dying. And no one knew, because silence was part of the business model. Tiffany said that after her mother slipped into a coma, she begged her father to go public, to let the fans pray, to let the community know the truth. He told me, "That's not how we operate. We keep things in-house. We don't air out weakness." And I remember thinking, that's not ministry. That's manipulation. By now, the Mann family's once golden reputation was cracking. Sponsors pulled out. Tour dates were postponed indefinitely. The gospel world, once so tightly knit, was now deeply divided. And yet Tiffany never stopped hoping, never stopped praying. "I just want her to wake up. I want her to open her eyes and know she's not alone. I want her to know that we see her now."